first divine must never return.
Click the wrong button. Let me summon my second minions. There we go. Second minions.
The enemy returns. There are fates worse than death. Behold, the light! Our enemy died. As did we. As shall you!
Which one is...
Rapture!
Is that it?
It must be protected.
It didn't use any...
At all costs.
Didn't use any one-shots?
For it is
And I just tagged everything? No way. Okay. Can you get frozen already? Oh wow. No.
we sense the thread of reality.
But now you have energy shield, so you survive. Praise the energy shield, praise it all day.
Maybe. Hey guys, in this video I want to talk about the build that I was doing, which is essentially, as I call it, Runic Summoner, because it uses word to summon those new minions. The build actually performed better than I expected. It's pretty cheap to start, the damage is pretty good. It just feels cozy because of the defensive layers that I talked about in my previous video. So there's quite a bit to explain, and some of the minions are a bit unintuitive, so I need to explain a bit how they work and the damage type they are doing, because even the recommended gems in some cases are a bit misleading. I'm using only temporary minions. While leveling I did use some reviving minion, but that's for the other mechanic. Maybe I should list the minions that I have. I'm using wardbound minions. I'm using a Skyfall, which summons minions as well, which requires glory, but it's very easy to get glory. It's very easy to recover ward. It's very easy to recover life and energy shield even. And I'm also using Verisum Manifestation, which is a spirit persistent buff which summons minions when you attack, which is also automated. I'm not sure how I'm gonna be editing this video, but the Arbiter fight that I was doing was from the quest. I think it's a bit weaker version of the Arbiter, but it was so easy. I pretty much tanked most of the hits, and I had so much damage he didn't really do any like dangerous attacks, it seems. So this build also automatically applies Wither. It breaks enemy armor, it can stun, it can freeze. It is a bit active playstyle because you have to constantly keep resummoning minions. Some of them, like wardbound minions, only attack for 8 spells. They cast 8 spells and they disappear. The Skyfall minions are melee, and melee is obviously not as good because it needs to get to the boss, and sometimes when you have so many minions, there is some issue where minions cannot reach the boss. Even range minions, which is weird, but in most cases it works really well, and the damage is good and it feels safe because we are even freezing enemies. Like I mentioned, the build is very cheap to start, and I'm still missing quite a bit of things. You can still optimize this and go in a bit different direction on the passive skill tree. I think I have not done any minion build in Path of Exile 2 before, because I didn't really like reviving minions, so this playstyle made me want to play minions a bit more than before. But also because of that, I don't have like an experience with our minions, so I can't really compare it with our minion builds. Obviously the spiritual walker with the monkey is probably gonna be better, but it's also a lot more expensive, I assume. By the way, if you want like a quick information about the minions, I will leave notes. When you import it, you can open notes and it lists the minions, what kind of damage we're doing and what kind of combo I'm using, and explains stuff a bit. So wardbound minions are called spell AoE. They are not projectiles. I don't think that investing AoE into them makes any sense. Their damage is really good. We do pure cold. From my testings, we do pure cold damage, because even if I summon them in the tooltip, it does not show their DPS. I don't know why. It shows their life, 10,600 life in this case. It doesn't show their DPS. So in some cases it's hard to tell what kind of damage we are doing, but I did quite a bit of testing to figure out what damage we are doing and what supports work best. So they are called spells and AoE. We have really good damage, but we only last for 8 casts. After that we disappear. This is level 29 skill in this case, and you can summon 29 of them, but I have, I believe, +2 to maximum temporary minions. So I can summon with 1 cast 24. Yeah, I can summon 31. Now the other minions, Skyfall minions, they are pure physical melee, and they do not use strike attacks. So you cannot use melee splash for minions, or was it called minion splash? You cannot use other strike supports like behead or other things. They are a bit slow movement, but it's not too bad. The damage, at first it felt bad, but once I figured out that they are pure physical and not cold, I swapped some supports and the damage was pretty good. It's not as good as Wardbound minions, and also I can quickly summon them here. They are kind of like octopuses. I believe it does show their damage. Yeah, basic attack, it does show their damage, and it doesn't show their health. Yeah, I'm not sure why. Next is Verisum manifestations. Their attack, pure physical, they do not have cold damage. This one is a bit tricky because it requires, I can't really show it here, it requires you to hit enemies with an attack. It's also automated. You do summon them automatically by using repulsion inside blasphemy. Repulsion is an attack. It does have a base damage, but it also inherits some of your attack damage. Once enemies get in range, repulsion is essentially a curse. When anything hits those enemies, repulsion procs, which is an attack. It also procs living lighting, so you do need some flat lighting damage to attacks, which I have on the weapon. And it procs living lighting, which helps proc repulsion again, and then repulsion procs Verisum manifestation. By the way, in the last video when I talked about Reverie body armor, turns out that herbalism does work, but it doesn't update until you either re-equip body armor, change zone. So if you die, for example, you have to re-equip this body armor. Next, I also have temporal chain, but the minions are, part of the minions are cold, the other part are physical, but also have Hair's damage, because this is Lich. There is no curse that would increase the damage of everything, of cold and physical and Hair's. That's why I'm using sort of defensive curse. Typical combo when I'm mapping is drop Wardbound minions, use Animus Exchange to refill my ward. So it goes like this. Out of ward, back to having ward, then use Triskelion Cascade, which then will cascade Skyfall, as you can see right now, and it summons pretty much maximum amount of these octopus minions, and then back to refilling ward, and then I can summon these again because they only last for 8 spellcasts. So I was thinking, instead of giving them as much cast speed as possible, you want them to do as much damage as possible before they disappear. I guess I'm gonna talk about supports for these minions right now. Wardbound minions are linked to Minion Mastery, Cold Attunement just to get more cold damage, Feeding Frenzy for more damage, Unleash is pretty important. The way Wardbound minions work is that it drains all your ward. The more ward you have, the more minions it can summon. And with Unleash, you essentially summon minions multiple times but pay ward only once. And then I was using Concentrated Area, but you can try using Cold Penetration. For Skyfall, I don't even have the 6th support, and I'm only using level 19 gems, so we can still increase the damage quite a bit more. Again, Feeding Frenzy, Rapid Attacks, Minion Master again, and I was experimenting with Impale. They are pure physical minions, but we do have some Chaos damage. And then the other minions kind of extract that Impale, but I'm not sure if it's working well enough, because against the bosses I can see even 60 Impales and it's kind of going down a bit and going back up, so it feels like other minions are not able to extract those Impales quickly enough. Then for Verisum manifestations, these are to break armor, at least that's what I'm using them for. Minion Mastery, Rapid Attacks, Armor Break, and using this, which I believe was also pretty cheap. When these minions fully break armor, and only these minions can fully break armor right now, the enemy takes 5% increased damage permanently, up to 20%. And these are doing physical damage, and the Skyfall doing physical damage. The Wardbound minions do cold damage, so it's not ideal synergy, but it works really well because some of them can freeze, the others can stun and break armor. Now, the Blasphemy linked with Repulsion, Living Lighting. Elemental Armament is not really, I think, needed, and Herbalism to give you life recovery, which is for this body armor. And also Contagion is not really mandatory. I'm only using Contagion because of Chaotic Freeze, which when enemies get hit by Hair's damage, it contributes to freeze buildup. Since all of my minions do a bit of chaos damage because I'm Lich, it helps to build up freeze essentially. Now there's a very cool synergy with multiple things together. With Necromantic Conduit, you lose 5% of your mana per second, but then with Soulless Form, you have no inherent mana regeneration, but you regen your mana based on your maximum life. So you regen 6% of your life as mana. Then obviously going to Explosions and Extra Cores. The Explosions also benefit from Chobber Chabber. This is, by the way, upgraded version. Increases and reductions to minion damage also apply to you. So all the increased minion damage will affect the explosion damage. And the explosion is, I'm not sure if it's strong or not, but it does help clear quite a bit. That's why I didn't really want to change the weapon. In addition to these nodes, another cool combo is Reverie Body Armor, which I talked about in previous video. By the way, if you want more ideas for Reverie Body Armor, go check the previous video. A lot of people left comments with their ideas and how they are using it already. And this is really cool body armor. I really like this body armor. So with this body armor, your non-unique life flask, they apply permanently to you, so you want to boost your flask recovery as much as possible, like on jewels, on the passive tree if you can, anointment. Then you can combine with this Chevron satchel, which in addition to having permanent life regeneration, you also get permanent ES regeneration. So you don't need to worry about ES recharge. So you can refund all the nodes from ES recharge and faster start of ES recharge and just rely on this alone. And then remaining items just want ward as much as possible and energy shield and life obviously. I do have +3 to minion skills amulet. The anointment is heavy drinker. The first line does work, the second line does not work. You do not get guard. That requires you to actually use the flask, but all the other things that increase life recovery from life flask will affect you. Like this 40% increased flask life recovery rate, Oasis, which can give you 30% more recovery from flasks. For the runes, I try to get as much ward and life, but life also adds a bit of ward because of this. I'm also using this. I don't really use mana and my mana recovers very quickly, so may as well add this to split the damage even more. By the way, as a Lich you are getting this 10% of damage taken by passive energy shield, and then there's another one here, another 5% of damage taken by passive energy shield. This is very important if you're using Reverie and want to split the damage. Otherwise you're just gonna take all the damage from energy shield, and the life regen will only take place once you lose energy shield, and you want to split the damage. That's why in many cases it's better to do Mind Over Matter and split the damage between life and mana. There is a helmet that gives you another 10% of damage by pass energy shield, but you would lose quite a lot of ward. You don't necessarily need to worry about getting too much ward, because you can just cast these minions again and summon them that way and recover ward very quickly. This takes less than 3 seconds of cooldown. The main problem, or the only problem that I have with this build, not really a problem, but I wish it was a bit better, is clear speed. Despite having so many minions, I feel like somehow the clear speed is a bit lacking. I can have that many minions, even more, but they kind of spread out and it just doesn't clear very well. Monsters very often ignore them and still go straight for you, so you can be surrounded by monsters despite having a bunch of minions and feel defenseless sometimes. It's not a big deal with this defensive layer. You do need to keep an eye on your ward while clearing, because repulsion will drain your ward. Sorry, not repulsion, but Verisum manifestations when they get summoned. Well, it is essentially when repulsion triggers, it hits and then triggers Verisum manifestation, which then consumes, yes, it does consume ward. These minions have shortest duration and they do get resummoned very rapidly, so I didn't try to increase their duration with support. I picked up most of the minion damage nodes. I wasn't even sure what else to take, so I started taking minion critical chance and critical damage, but their critical chance is pretty low. I'm not sure, I would probably want to replace critical chance and critical damage with something else, but I don't feel like I need more defenses. I would rather take more damage. You could actually travel here to pick up this one. Then all the minions would be able to break armor, which may not be good, but you could also reach this one. You would probably want minion movement speed, and I'm not sure if they actually need tankiness, because they are temporary minions anyway. You're gonna keep resummoning them. And while leveling, I was using Skeletal Arsonist, I believe they're called. They throw projectiles from a distance and help proc repulsion, which then summons Verisum manifestations. One thing that is really annoying is stun threshold. It's very easy to be stunned when you're trying to cast Skyfall. It's very long cast time. Look at the cast time. Very long. During that time, any small hit, it seems like just enemy slaps you a bit and it cancels the whole skill. It's very annoying. So you kind of need to make sure that you are not using Skyfall while surrounded by enemies. Or try to build up stun threshold, which you can here and then there. I actually was going for here, but later I refunded because if you are careful, it's not really a big problem. For jewels, I just spent with the life recovery from Blast and some Minion damage. There's nothing fancy. So as you can see, it's not expensive build. It's not optimized. It can be optimized more, which means you can improve this build a lot more. So this is just kind of a proof that despite not being optimized, it does have good damage and pretty decent clear and tankiness, I guess. So yeah, I think that's about it. Let me know in the comments below if you have some other ideas how to improve this build. So for now, thank you for watching and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.